Hello everyone, we're going to get started here with our webinar today, which is all about fraud prevention and protecting yourself online. A great topic and a topical topic as we are in fraud prevention month right now, so it's very important to keep yourself safe and secure online. We hope that everyone is in the comfort of their own home. We're looking at the window right now and it looks like it's very blustery and stormy out there, so hopefully you're curled up on your couch and able to join the webinar from there. We just want to talk about today's webinar a little bit. It could get technical at some points, so we just encourage you that if you're ever unsure of what something means, or maybe you hear some jargon and you're really not sure what it is, we encourage you just to use the chat function on the right side of the screen and just let us know that you didn't understand something. And one of the guys here, Jason or Brian, will be happy to describe for you what they meant. Our presenters today are Jason McSpadden, who is our IT Operations Manager, and Brian DiPaolo, who is our IT Specialist here at PenFinancial Credit Union. We encourage you, if you have any questions at any point, just please type them in the chat function on the right side of your screen there. Also, if you're having technical difficulties, let us know in the chat area as well. Also, we will be having some polls throughout this webinar here today, so we just want to gather your input. So when the guys tell you so, on the right side of your screen, there'll be a poll that opens up as well. So we encourage you just to enter your information into the poll as well. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Jason and Brian now, and they'll take you through the rest of the webinar today.
Thank you, Josh. So for many of us, the internet is part of our day-to-day lives. We use the internet to connect with friends, research, shop, work, study, play games, and perform financial transactions. The internet has made our lives more efficient over the years, as we can perform many of these interactions from the comfort of our living room, in a fraction of the time it would go out to accomplish the same task. While the internet has offered us many benefits and efficiencies over the years, it has also exposed many people to security risks, which include identity theft, privacy of secure transactions or communications, and exposure to offensive content. This presentation will go over some of the common threats associated with going online and provide best practices on how to protect yourself. Although there are no absolute guarantees that you can protect all the information online, we hope that this presentation will provide you valuable information on how to better protect yourself and reduce your risk of becoming a victim of cybercrime. So this next slide we borrowed from one of the top security organizations out there, Norton. We thought it was a very valuable slide in some of the stats it provided. So there are 556 million victims per year. That's more than the entire population of the European Union. 1.5 million victims per day and 18 victims per second. That just shows how important it is to protect yourself. So what we're going to go over today, we're going to go over some common threats associated with online. But we're also going to look at a couple trending topics of social media and mobile devices. As these channels become more popular, they also become a better target for cyber criminals to go after. So our first topic today is going to be malware, which I'm going to hand over to Brian now. Oh, sorry, I forgot. You're going to notice that there's going to be a common theme through all of these types of threats, which is the consequences. Cyber criminals are always aiming to look at one thing, look at financial gain. There are other consequences associated with these threats, which is time to resolve the issue. In some cases, if it's associated with identity theft, that can even take up to 10 years. Your reputation is threatened, your credit rating, loss of data such as pictures and files that you may never be able to retrieve again. And again, abusive contacts, people gaining access to your circle of friends and family and business contacts, and then using that information to abuse them. So the consequences are going to be the same throughout, but there are different ways, different threats associated with them. So now I'm going to hand it over to Brian to talk about malware.
All right, thanks, Jason. So just to begin the topic of malware, we're going to have a little poll here. And we're going to just, I think the poll is open now. So just, you see those questions come up on your screen on the right-hand side there. And you'll see these polls come throughout the presentation. So just how many of you have the following kinds of things installed at your home? Whether it's antivirus, a firewall, a spam filter, and just kind of curious, you know, how many of these things do you have installed? You may think it as one thing. You may think you have a couple of things, but we have just, see here, time's up for the polls, and so now we're going to just, I think we're just figuring this out, folks. Bear with us for a second, and we're waiting for you, all the responses to come in here. So just to get an idea of what we have, when we see the results here, we can see that it's kind of mixed. That many people have some forms of protection installed on their PCs, but not necessarily all of them. But we see that there's a wide variety. And why we ask that is because this is how we can protect ourselves against malware. So really, what is malware? You may have heard that term before, you may not have. You may also say it's also known as viruses as well. They're kind of interchangeable terms, but it really includes more than just viruses on your computer. When you think of the word malware, it really stands for malicious software, and that's really what it is. That is a computer program that has malicious intent on your PC. Because really, what they want to do, they want to gain control of your computer and steal your information. Or they want to use your computer to distribute spam or other kinds of malware out to other computers on the internet. And it's important to recognize that this can be any kind of computing device, whether it's your phone, your tablet, even your Mac can get malware on it. And as we can see here from some of the stats that are on the screen here, that it's a growing problem. And the number of new cases of malware are increasing day by day, and including password stealing as well too is another thing that's very prevalent nowadays. So when it comes to password stealing, obviously you want to keep your passwords safe and secure. So just to kind of get an idea of that, we've got a little video here we're going to just play here.
Last night I was flipping around through the channels and I saw this. I really love infomercials. I don't know if you love them as much as I do, but I found one. It's a new product that I want to share with you. And, you know, if you have a hard time remembering your online passwords, a lot of people have a lot of different passwords. This is going to solve your problems.
Online passwords, there's just too many. And who can remember all those tricky combinations? So you stick them on your monitor or you hide them in a drawer. But not anymore. Introducing Password Minder, the personal logbook that takes the hassle out of passwords. Forget about sticky notes or scraps of paper, because Password Minder has been specifically designed to organize and safely store passwords. You'll find them in an instant and never lose a password again, guaranteed. Need to make a password? Just add it to your Password Minder. The alphabetical listing organizes all your usernames and passwords for instant recall and easy reference.
I don't have to worry anymore about security or identity theft. I now have all my passwords in one place. It's great.
If you have passwords, you need Password Minder.
So call now and get your very own Password Minder book for just $10.
That's real. That's real. Wait, you're telling me I can keep all my passwords in one place? In this right here, and it's only $10? For half the price, you could write all your passwords on a $5 bill. This is insane. Does this seem safe to keep all your passwords in one place? In a place that's labeled Internet Password Minder? I don't think they thought this through fully. I mean, what if someone gets their hands on your password minder? So I came up with this. It is Ellen's Internet Password Minder Protector, and what you do, you put it in here, you close it, and then it has a built-in combination lock right there, you see on the side, and I know you're thinking, Ellen, what if I forget my combination? Well, if you order now, I will include this. You can put it in there. It's the Password Minder Protector Minder. It's the one place to keep your Password Minder Protector combination. And I have one more special offer. If you don't feel like writing down your passwords, send them to me. And for $10, I'll write them down for you. Don't worry about sending me your credit card information. I'll figure it out. Oh, my God. Can you believe that?
Okay, thanks a lot. That was kind of funny, kind of a way to look at it. Obviously, we want to keep our passwords secure, but you want to be careful what you fall for as well, too, as scams. But it's a good idea as looking at what passwords, how important they are to protect them. Because when you just think about what malware does or how it affects you, you may not realize the many different ways that we can get malware onto our computers. You can get a link in your email that will lead you to download a virus, or you could get an attachment in your email that will have a malware attached to it, which will be on, once it's on your computer, it will harvest your information. You may visit an infected website or an application or program that has a virus in it that could be grabbing your information and stealing it. You could accidentally get it from a memory drive that's already infected, and that could be dangerous. From just the software or having a program on your computer that you download that has a virus, it can happen that way. And social engineering is a big one as well too. Because someone that is someone pretending that they're someone they're not, in order to try and gain access to your information and learning more about you and using that information to launch an attack against you. And we're going to go into a little bit of that later on, some more examples of that, what that could be. So they really want to get to how can we protect ourselves. So one thing that's so important is to make sure you have a good antivirus program on your computer. You want to make sure, too, that it's from a reputable place. It's a well-known one that is widely used, and they'll have a better chance of protecting you that way. And also, you want to look for something that's got a complete solution. Remember that poll question we had at the beginning there. So you may have one that just has antivirus, but doesn't have a firewall, or doesn't have spyware protection. So we want something that's got much of a complete suite as possible. And then once you've got that on your computer, you want to make sure that you keep it up to date. So these programs, they will have ways to regularly check for updates on the internet and pull them up. And also, you want to make sure that that antivirus program is regularly scanning your computer on a weekly basis at a minimum to make sure that it doesn't have any other things that maybe slipped through the cracks. And then along with that, you want to make sure that your computer itself is up to date with all of the different patches that the programs will have. So your Windows updates, your other programs you have on there. And you can have them set to automatically update on your computer, and that way you can the rest a little easier that way. And then we saw from that video as well too that how important it is to protect your passwords. So some tips with passwords, for example, don't save your passwords to your financial sites, say to your credit union, online banking. Don't save that password on your computer, because then it's just sitting there and easily to be grabbed by a cyber criminal. You also want to make sure that you use strong passwords and something that's not easily guessed. So not just as simple as your cat's name, something like that. Also, you want to make sure that they're complex, so a longer password or a variety of keystrokes, those kind of things can make it more complex and harder to guess. Also, you want to change your passwords regularly. And also, you want to use different passwords for different sites, especially for your financial sites. So don't use the same password that you use for, say, Google, but also for going on to eBay or onto Amazon to buy something, because those accounts can be compromised. Those are some things to look out for when it comes to our passwords. What are other things that we can do to protect yourself? Really, it's important to be careful and alert to what you see when you get, whether it's a link in an email or a link when you're doing a Google search or on the web. You never can be confident. You want to be confident of the source of that link. So one good thing that helps is if you hover over the link in your email, it'll show you where that link is actually going to. So it may look like it's going to a trusted site, but it's actually going somewhere else, and that's hidden in the background, and that is what can lead to downloading malware. Also, you want to look for signs in the web address, like we see in the picture here. So it may not look much different to you here, but you see this link on this web address of PenFinancial here. There's an HTTP, which is in front of all the different websites. Well, then there's a little S there. That little S is small, but it makes a big deal. That shows that you're actually doing an encrypted website here. And you see there's also on the right a little padlock symbol. those are kind of symbols to look out for to make sure that you're accessing a site that is more secure. Something else to keep in mind too, if you have a site maybe you visit a lot, do you type in the full address of that site in your web browser? Or do you go off something you got stored in your favorites maybe? Or when you look for something, do you just type the name into your address bar? So when you see this address bar where it says this whole in the picture here, say you wanted to go to, let's say it was Amazon. You just typed in the word Amazon and you hit enter. Well, you think that's going to bring you to Amazon.ca or Amazon.com, whatever it is. But it may, what it's actually doing is bringing up a Google search or a Bing search, and with different results. And you might click on something in there that you think is going to Amazon, but it's not. It'll be going to something malicious where it could be downloading malware onto your computer. So those are just some things to keep in mind. Protect yourself against the threat that is malware. So there's other threats that we're going to look at, and now we're going to turn it back to Jason. He's going to talk about identity theft.
So we have another poll. So Josh is going to put that up. So have you ever been a victim of identity theft? So this could include ATM fraud, so someone's given you an ATM card, credit card, or someone's even stolen your password pretending that they're you, anything like that. So let's give that a few seconds to come in, and we will display the results in a moment. And it's just taking a minute to accumulate the results. But it looks like majority of the people have not been a victim, which is fantastic. But there have been a couple. And again, that's what we're going to get into is identity theft and hopefully give you some best practices on how to protect yourself. So we're going to start off with a video. I found that this video was quite informational. So it is in a different language, so it's closed caption, but I hope you enjoy it.
Dag Sien. Kijk doen. Ik zie een school tegen Antwerpen.
Ja.
Insecten.
Alsjeblieft.
Ik voel twee insecten op je rug. Kan dat?
Ja, vlinders.
Slovenie?
Ouais.
Een moto. Oranje. Pas erop. Zenit.
Oui, bien.
Je hebt een vriendin. Julie de...
Ja.
Een boeiend liefdesleven. 3, 4 zelfs.
Die vierde, daar zei ik meestal over, dus dat weten niet veel mensen.
Hoe is mijn spierscheur? Maison rouge, balcon blanc. Ja. Ik zie geld, ik zie transacties, maar kent je rekeningnummer van buiten? Ik denk dat ik het wel weet. Die staat wel negatief op je bankrekening.
Ja?
97. Last month, you spent €200 on alcohol. Vorige maand €300 aan kleding gespendeerd. 8.
Ja.
5. Voor een huis dat van eigenaar gaat veranderen. €750.000.
Ja, maar eigenlijk.
41.
Ja.
Juist?
Ja, dat is juist. Oh my god. Oh nee. Ah, dat is, ik weet niet hoe eng.
So it's the video just demonstrates how scary it is of how much information you have online that you don't even realize is out there about you, and how quickly someone can access that information and use it for criminal intent. So really, what is identity theft? Identity theft is basically when someone steals your personal information, whether it's your credit card information, whether it's your social insurance number, and they use it for criminal purposes. The stats on this slide here are from the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre website. And as you can see, over the last few years, ID theft has actually decreased, but the fraud associated with the ID theft has increased. And a lot of this, I believe it's due to awareness for the reduction in ID theft. Awareness has been better protection out there. Even look at ATM cards. They've moved away from the MAG stripe and into the chip card, which has really reduced the amount of skimming that's out there. So how does identity theft happen? Well, identity theft, the criminal is really just trying to get information about you. So they can do this by stealing your mail. If you look at your mail, look at what type of items that you get through your mail, financial statements, invoices, bills. This has key information about you. So if someone steals your mail, they do have access to some key information. As Brian mentioned earlier, malware on PC that gathers information, even stealing your personal wallet. How many people have their social insurance number on them at all times? That if their purse or wallet were stolen, that someone would have access to that very key piece of information about you. And then dumpster diving. It's common that people go through your garbage to find out information about you. If you haven't shredded your personal information that you're discarding, it's accessible by criminals. So how to protect yourself? So really to protect yourself, you need to safeguard your information. Shred your paperwork, shred personal information before discarding them. Don't carry your social insurance number in your wallet because, again, someone, if they were to steal your wallet, would have access to that. Don't give out personal information unless you're absolutely sure what it's going to be used for. Don't use obvious passwords to get into financial websites or sites that contain personal information about you. So these would be pet names, mother's maiden names, etc. Don't use those because someone can research about you and probably guess that type of password. Keep your PCs, keep your home network safe. Use a firewall. Keep your antivirus up to speed. Never reply to spam emails. If it has a link on there to say remove me from this list, chances are that's just letting them know that your email is an active email and you're going to get more spam. And always use, as Brian mentioned before, always use a secure website when entering any personal information or financial information. Look for the HTTPS, look for the padlock. If it's not there and it's asking for personal information, I would not put it in. Do not put it in because you cannot be assured that that's a secure communication path. Always log out of websites when you're done performing transactions. Don't leave it logged on. Some websites don't have session timeouts. If someone were to go on that PC after you, they could have access to your information. Again, and that brings me into public computers. Never use a public computer to do personal or financial transactions. These computers are used by hundreds of people. You don't know what's on them, and you don't know who's looking at what. So the next part is being aware, detecting that you may be a victim of identity theft. So that's really being aware of what's happening with you yourself. Look at mail or bills that haven't arrived that you should have had. So look at routine items that you're supposed to be receiving that aren't coming in. If you've gone to a bank or credit union and you've been denied credit for some denied credit or denied a mortgage or loan for some reason, but you think your credit score is fantastic, well, maybe that's a sign that someone's doing something that is lowering your credit rating. Check your credit report once a year. Both TransUnion and Equifax allow you to check your credit score on a yearly basis. And again, when your financial statements come in, look for any charges that you may not have made. That could be a sign that someone's using your credit card or your ATM card without you knowing about it. So I'm going to hand the next part over back to Brian. He's going to talk about phishing.
All right, thanks. So talking about phishing, one of the questions that we're going to ask, and I've got another poll here. So have you ever received a phone call at your home or somewhere else from someone that claims to be from Microsoft or Windows tech support? It seems to be prevalent a lot in this area here, that you get this call from someone. They say that there's viruses on your computer, and you have to let them help you fix it. Well, you know what's actually happening is that they will gain access to your computer. They will take control of your computer. They will pretend to delete some things. Well, what they're actually doing is they're actually installing viruses or malware on your computer, and now they're stealing your information. And now they're saying, and they also tell you that you need to buy their antivirus program. So now they request your credit card information. So what they've done, and because we can see here from some of these results here, you see that most of us here have received these kind of calls at our homes. And it's very dangerous, because now they'll take your credit card information, they can take your money, and now they've got all your information there, and they've installed spyware on your computer. So that's a kind of a form of social engineering a little bit there, and it really is a form of phishing. When you think mostly phishing, though, but what we really think of, though, is emails a lot. Emails that you receive. You may get an email from someone that may look like they're from your financial institution or your credit card company, something like that. It looks like a very legitimate email, and so there's a link in there. There's a link for you to click on to do some sort of action. And when you click on that link, it comes up to another website. It opens up a website, and that website has very much a look and feel of your own credit union or your own financial institution website, but it's not. It's a fake website. You can notice in the address bar. And so what happens is you enter in your account information like you think you're logging in, but what you're really doing, you're sending all your online banking information to the fraudsters, to the criminals. And now that they've got that, they've got access to all your information, and they can obviously steal your money and your identity. So that's obviously very dangerous. So when we look at here, this is some examples of what to look for here. So you can see if there's a sense of urgency that they create around the email, that's usually a sign that something's wrong. It's something you have to act now. They try to pressure you into doing something. We can see that if the email itself, what they're talking about, seems too good to be true, then it probably is. And that's always something to be afraid of. And again, be careful of the links that appear in there. They look like it's something legitimate, or maybe something you've never heard of before, and doesn't seem legitimate at all. So you want to be careful of that. We have another example, and this one was kind of a famous one that may seem like it comes from your bank, but some other things to look for. Look for spelling and grammar mistakes. Those are usually prevalent, and that's usually a sign that it's wrong, because if it was really some information from your credit union, they would look for those kinds of things, and they would take care of that. Also, with the way that it's addressed there, dear valued customer. Well, if it really was personal, it would have your name in there. So it's kind of things that you can look out for to identify what would be a potential phishing scheme. So here we have just some stats. I'm not going to go through these, but just to get an idea how large a problem it really is. You see that millions of phishing emails are being sent out every day, and all it takes is for a small percentage of those emails being sent out for it to be effective. And it is effective because people do fall victim every day, as we saw earlier. So again, how does it work? Well, we've kind of talked about this a little bit already, but they will harvest your information by getting you to click on their links. It may also be a link that leads you to a malicious site, or to download some malware. You may have an attachment that has a virus in it, or maybe a scam. There's the famous Nigerian mail fraud. You got an email from some deposed ruler of some foreign nation who needs your help in transferring a large sum of money, and all he needs from you is to send him back your banking information, and he'll wire you the money or whatever it is. Well, obviously that's a major scam, but unfortunately some people have fallen victim of it. So what we want to know then is how can we protect ourselves? So this is really the important part. How can we guard ourselves? So again, education is important and being careful on what we click on. So never click on a link in an email that you're not confident of the source. If you're not sure, you can just hover over the link and it'll show you where the link is actually going. So it may say that it's going one place, but it goes another place. It goes to somewhere else. It goes to the wrong site. So be careful of that. And we saw some of those examples of suspicious emails. So know how to identify them and just use your common sense, whether it's the spelling or grammar mistakes, if it's that sense of urgency that it creates for the immediate action. Or also just be careful of opening emails or attachments from sources that you don't quite trust. And just be careful again about handing out your password. Think your financial institution is never going to ask for your password through your online banking through an email. It just has no need to do that. But you may think, oh, I would never fall victim to that. But there was a study that was done a few years ago. They surveyed about 500 people, and about 45% of them gave away their passwords to a complete stranger just for a chocolate bar. So it doesn't take much, and many people easily can become victims to that. So you don't want that to happen to you. So you want to be very careful. And like we saw from that poll, Microsoft will never will call you to tell you about some problem on your computer to get you to correct that. That'll never happen. So you never want to give them any of your information or access to your computer. Just the last thing there too is just a good idea. Use a secondary email address for things like contests or subscriptions online. These usually is a great source of email lists or spammers that we'll use to send out phishing emails. So if you have a secondary email address that is separate from your personal one that you give to your friends, or that especially here is linked to your financial institution, then that keeps it completely separate, and you can protect yourself that way. So these are just some things to keep in mind about phishing and how important it is and how we can protect ourselves. So now we're going to turn it back to Jason, and he's going to talk about mobile threats.
So before I get into mobile threats, we have another poll. So the poll is basically, do you have antivirus installed on your mobile device? Yes or no? And we're going to wait a few seconds for the poll results to come in. But so far, it's looking like half and half have it on. So this is an important question, basically because mobile devices, smartphones, tablets, they are starting to replace your average desktop. People are no longer going out buying that big workstation. They're saying, okay, I'm going to buy a tablet instead. It doesn't mean that those tablets are immune to viruses or immune to security threats, which I'm going to get into in a second. So as you can look at the stats on this page, the threats associated with mobile devices has increased quite a bit. 42% more vulnerabilities were discovered in 2010. There are over 150,000 known malware instances associated with mobile devices. And out of these, over 100,000 of those were discovered in 2013 alone. That just shows how much these cyber criminals are ramping up towards those mobile devices. And that includes Android, iPhones, iPads, any type of mobile device. None of them are immune. So again, why are mobile devices a security concern? Well, basically, a mobile device is a PC. Any concerns you have on your PC, you should have the same concerns on your mobile device. The added concern with a mobile device is it's mobile. You take it around with you. You have it with you everywhere you go, which means that it's more susceptible to being lost or stolen. I once worked with a gentleman who had his smartphone, and he lost his smartphone 6 times within a matter of 18 months. Luckily, we have the proper security precautions on there to wipe the device every time, but it just shows you how easy these devices can be lost. So the meat of the matter is, how do you protect yourself? Just like your PC, it's important to protect your mobile device with a password. This ensures that someone who's not authorized to be looking at it cannot gain easy access to it. It is a good practice to have your mobile device wipe after so many failed attempts. This ensures that, if you have it set for 5 failed attempts and then wipe your device, well, most people can remember the password within 5 attempts. On the 6th attempt, assume that someone who shouldn't have access to it has access to it and would wipe your device. Again, encrypt your device. This ensures that if someone found it, they can't just take the hard drive out of your device and put it into another one to gain the information. Just like PCs, make sure you have antivirus installed. Ensure your operating system is up to date and ensure applications are up to date. As Brian mentioned earlier, only download applications from a trusted source. Turn off your wireless Bluetooth when not in use. Only connect to trusted encrypted wireless connections. So if you go to Tim Hortons or McDonald's and they have the free wireless, that's fantastic. However, I wouldn't do financial transactions on it. It's free to everyone. So anyone who's at that place of business has the same access to the wireless and possibly to your device. Remote tracking. That's a fantastic way that if you lost your device, you can install this application and go and find where your device is. The next one I find is to be the most valuable, which is understanding the information that's on your device and the consequences of losing this information, or this information being in the wrong hands. Understanding that will determine that if you did lose it, just what kind of situation you're in. So that's it with mobile devices. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hand it back to Brian to talk about social networks.
All right, so when it comes to social networks, have you ever accepted a friend request from someone you didn't know? You probably see these, maybe it comes on Facebook or on Twitter or LinkedIn. It happens a lot, possibly. You may not receive some of the answers coming in. Most people are saying no, which is very good. But I wonder if we had rephrased the question, if you're on Twitter, have you received a follower of someone you didn't know and they were following you? That happens a lot too. Or in LinkedIn or Facebook, do you get an email from someone claiming to be a friend, and it could actually have be a source of malware there. So good for everyone on the line. No, most people have not accepted a friend request from someone they didn't know, and that's always good. And so, to a good degree, you are protecting yourselves. But why is it such a concern with social networks? Well, we think about Facebook alone. Facebook has almost 1 billion people on it. Think of that, 1 billion people. That's huge. That's so much. How many countries have 1 billion people in them? Not many. So that's a lot of people. So that's a great source of for hackers or for criminals to attack. And what are some of the ways that they may try and attack you through a social network? Well, they may try and sell you a fake product, something they're just trying to rip you off. But as you see from that whole question, it works because they play on their assumptions that you're dealing with people that you trust, and so that they're able to use that against you. So just some of the stats we see in this next slide, and I'm not going to go through it, but it just really points to how we need to protect ourselves. Some things, for example, Jason mentioned earlier, making sure you log out of your session after each time you use it, because you can leave yourself open to that way. You can want to make sure you have a good antivirus or a security tool that is protecting against social networking threats. And also being aware of your privacy settings, because if you put something there out in the public, some doesn't even have to be one of your friends. They can be just someone doing what they call that social engineering, and they're able to grab your information that way. Be careful with your passwords. Again, don't reuse your passwords from social networks on other sites. Enable two-step verification when that's offered. For example, logging into Google has a thing where you can have a mobile app that it's called Google Authenticator, and it gives you an extra code that changes every 30 seconds or every minute, and then you need to put that in as well to log in. It's another protection. Be careful of those suspicious emails, or be careful of links that are in posts. Even if the link is from a friend that you trust, their account could be compromised, so you want to be careful of that. And you also want to be careful with apps like games within these sites. There's less controls on these apps, and they can actually be a source of malware, so you want to be careful of that. So just some things to keep in mind when it comes to protecting yourselves with regards to our social networks. So we've gone through a lot of things here now on a lot of different threats here this afternoon, and this may seem a little bit overwhelming for you, but it's important because education is one of the greatest ways that we can protect ourselves. We shouldn't be too scared when it comes to being online, but we need to know how to do it safely. For example, when you first got your first car, in order to drive that car, you had to learn the safety requirements of it, the rules of the road, and how to operate that vehicle safely. To do so, once you learned that, you were able to get many benefits. Driving a car is great, and we all enjoy it. So it's the same way with using the internet. As long as we understand how to use it safely, it can be a great tool for us. So, and you might wonder how is PenFinancial protecting its members? And we're going to just turn it back over to Jason. He's just going to quickly talk about that.
So, how is PenFinancial protecting us? So, last year we did implement the increased authentication for online banking. This added another layer of authentication to ensure that the person logging on to online banking is you. With the increased authentication, there's a picture with caption. I'm sure many of you wondered, what is the purpose of this picture and caption? Well, when Brian talked about phishing before, he did mention that the sites look almost identical to the legitimate website. Well, what the picture and caption is, that's something that is personal to you, that no phishing website is going to know. So when you log in, you see this picture in the caption, you can be assured that this is the proper site, the legitimate site. If that picture and caption is not there or it's wrong, that's when you should start raising some concerns. Online banking lockout rules. So again, if you've entered your password incorrectly a certain number of times, it will lock you out. Session timeout rules. So if you forgot to log out when you're done your financial transaction, it will automatically log you out. Again, the encryption of your data when performing financial transactions is encrypted. So this means that it is protected. We do have the password self-service option on online banking. So if you feel that your password's been compromised, you can go change it yourself. And later, coming this year, we plan on implementing alerts. And what this is this allows you to receive an email or a text indicating anytime something's done within your online banking channel. So if you've logged on to your online banking, it can send you an alert. Or if a transaction or a bill is added to your account, it can send you an alert. This gives you better awareness of what's happening with your online channel. And lastly, security webinars like this one. I hope this has been a useful security webinar, and hopefully it's provided some valuable information that we can share with you guys and hopefully better protect our members.
Okay, so thanks guys for all that information. A lot of information to absorb, so certainly I expect that some folks have some questions out there. We do have a few that came in, which we'll get to shortly. Here's some resources that we listed here. PenFinancial.com, our internet security section, is a good resource. Also a government website, getcybersafe.gc.ca and securingthehuman.org. You can also follow Brian or Jason on Twitter, and also the PenFinancial Twitter handle is there as well. So gentlemen, I just have a few questions that have come in for you. The first question is, if you think you are a victim of identity theft, what should you do first?
Well, the first thing you should do is contact either Equifax or TransUnion, the credit company, and just let them know that you believe you're a victim. This will help protect your credit rating from depreciating a little bit more. Also follow a police report. 95% of cybercrimes go unreported. And that was actually, as of yesterday, I was reading an article on that 95% go unreported because the victim is too embarrassed to report them. You know what? I would encourage you, if you believe you're a victim, report it, because this is going to allow the police to gather the information and also put alerts to other people so they don't become victims. Contact your financial institution and credit card company to let them know that you believe that you've been a victim. They can issue you new cards, ensure that your financial information is safe. And again, change your password to any financial or any website that contains personal information. Chances are that's a key way that they've gained this information about you. So again, change that password. And as I mentioned earlier, identity theft, it can take up to 10 years to resolve. Depends on how deep that person got into stealing your identity. So keep a log of any dates, times, events that have happened, because you know, if it does take 10 years, you're gonna have that trail to go back.
Perfect. Thanks, Jason. We have a question that came in from Ron. It's what should I do if I get a suspicious email?
Thanks, Ron. Well, that's just very simple. You can probably just delete it. That's probably the best thing to do. We've already talked about some of the things to be aware and how to identify it. Easy thing, just delete it. If it's from a friend that you think could be legitimate, just call them. Call them and ask them, is this proper or not? But yeah, being better safe than sorry.
Great, thanks, Brian. And the last question that came in, unless anyone else has any more questions, is how often should I change my password?
I'll take that one again. So that's a good rule of thumb is every few months, just to be safe. Also, if you ever think that something happened to you, like Jason mentioned, if you accidentally open up one of these emails or you went to some site or something doesn't quite feel right to you, it's a good idea after you've cleaned out your computer and done your virus checking, you change your passwords as well too, anytime you feel something suspicious as well.
Great. So it looks like that is all the questions that we have. So that officially concludes our online security webinar. I just want to thank Jason and Brian for joining us here today and providing us with some great and useful information, which hopefully helped you. We encourage you to provide us with any feedback. You can email us at PenFinancial.com, supply any feedback regarding this webinar. Also, if you want to connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, to let us know any topics that you'd like to see covered in the coming months. We have a few weeks in between our now and our next webinar. Our next webinar will be Home Buying 101, which will be taking place the end of April. Hopefully the weather outside is looking a little better at that point. So we hope you'll join us for that. And thank you once again for joining us. We also encourage you just to head to the Webinar Center on our website, which has all of our archived webinars there, including this one. So if you missed anything, you can head there and view this webinar, as well as a number of other topics as well. So thanks once again for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Take care.